car sales example. It's the script. It's only 4 messages, but it takes you from a simple post to an appointment. Do you
give them the money?
Your audience?
Give them the money, Dave. Give them the money.
All right, cool beans. So, hey, look.
Welcome to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, the #1 resource for automotive sales professionals, managers, and owners to learn how to make money, accumulate wealth, and to all out ball out in the auto industry. And now your hosts, Sean V. Bradley and L.A. Williams.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is L.A. Williams, and I'm here on the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. And man, I've got a phenomenal guest for you today. Normally, we always hear from people who are just, either salesmen, sales managers, different things like that. Occasionally, we like to bring you something different, right? So I'm going to introduce you to a gentleman who started off in sales, kind of like Sean did, but then he, something opened his eyes. He got into the vendor game. So this gentleman is an awesome gentleman. He actually has helped me a lot. A lot of videos that you guys have seen, I used one of his perfect scripts, and I'm telling you, it was phenomenal. It was one of my top videos. So without further ado, I'm going to bring to the microphone my man, Mr. David Huffman. What's happening, Dave?
What's going on, LA? Thank you for the introduction, man. I appreciate that. And always like a good introduction. Am I right?
100%, man. Right. Absolutely. That's the game. Let's go. We could jump right in there. See, I think one of the things, let's just talk about framing in marketing, period. I think it's so important for people to introduce whoever it is. Anytime you're introducing anyone, it should always be properly. It should always be framed in a way that, how is it that you want your audience to see this person, right? And we don't have to make up nothing or anything like that. You just got to put the facts in front of people and people will know. I can't just be like, hey, what's up, Dave? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Well, so there's two things there. I'm just going to throw out value right away because why not? Russell Brunson and his expert secrets or .com secrets, he mentions framing and how before he steps on stage and drops value and tries to do pretty much a live webinar, right? Like a live web class, hopping up on stage, giving people value and trying to make sales, that the person that's introducing them can make all the difference. That's why if you watch a lot of his videos, a lot of these social influencers, right? A lot of their videos now, a lot of the people introducing them are actually videos that they give to the host of the events and tell them to, hey, man, just introduce me, just hit play and I'll come up. Right. And that's why. And now tying that into car sales, right? Framing and setting the realistic expectations for your customers can make the difference in sales. I talked to a lot of clients and stuff. They'll sit down and talk about how, so-and-so thought that the payment wasn't right. So-and-so thought that the down payment was too high. And it's like, well, a lot of it ties into framing and setting the realistic expectations early on in the sale. Am I right?
100%, man. You're on fire. All right, cool. So I know we're a little bit out of order, but man, it just, the topic came up. So we just said, hey, let's talk.
So I had to spit it out, man. I had to drop some fire in the first 4 minutes.
Hey, that's what we got to do. And that's what we need to do with our customers, right? Got to get them hooked early, right? 100% love it. All right. So let's rewind for a quick second and just tell the people a little bit about your personal story and kind of let them know how you even got into the automotive industry.
Yeah, so me getting into the automotive industry was actually is a fluke. To be honest, I kind of had this weird thing with selling higher level products. I sold a lot of supplements. I sold a lot of fitness products and stuff like that. I came from the gym community and I had no issue selling $100, $200, $300 products, right? But when I sat down, I thought about $15,000, $20,000, $40,000 items. I was like, well, shit, this is kind of hard. So early on in my sales career, I viewed it as kind of like apprenticeship and right away kind of overcoming that obstacle of, okay, hey, I'm kind of scared of high ticket items, just being honest. I always sought for solutions to the issue. So I'm like, well, car sales is a natural solution. Like, okay, right. So it works. So that's actually how I got into car sales. Now, the story of how I went from car sales to what I'm doing now is just a little bit longer.
Right. No, but I just want to talk about the car sales section for it. So when you were on the showroom floor, how many cars did you sell? And then what did that do for you? Because this is a Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. We talk about money around here. So what did that do for you financially? How many cars did you sell?
So for sales-wise, I was never a super, super huge producer. I wasn't this 30, 40, 50 car guy. I wasn't a Frank Citron or Ali Rado or Mark Jennison or any of those superstars, right? Mm-hmm. But I was a consistent 20-plus car guy. And the main thing for me is, the money was fantastic. It afforded a fantastic lifestyle. I sold subprime. We worked off a volume-based model. So we got bonuses at the 10-unit mark, at the 15-unit mark, at 20-unit mark. So the money was good. For me, though, the difference, though, was my ability to actually get people in to come and see me. That's what separated the difference between me and the other people, because I was able to attract people and to market and get people to come in and see me that already had trust on me. So even though I didn't sell cars for terribly long, I think it's a year and a half or so, and I was the newest guy at my dealership, I was still able to hang because I was able to get people that came in that wanted to see me and that trusted me. So it's easier to sell them and it's easier to hold gross.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. So that's definitely a conversation that we had. If you heard the previous podcast, man, Mr. Chris Beziquez, right? He talks about holding gross and how that's just so important as far as his business is concerned. Mm-hmm. And then you got people who just, the volume is their thing, right? And so they'll do, more minis than anything, or they'll kind of like balance it out, right? So that's beautiful.
Well, the funny thing about holding gross in the beginning of this podcast, and a lot of people don't realize that we actually shot the intro to the podcast twice. We got on there and LA gave a killer one. To be honest, the first one was even better. The first one was like, oh my gosh, like I was speechless. And I hop on there. I'm like, hey man, thanks for the awesome intro. And it went blank. So we got disconnected. We hop back on here, do another one, and it's kick ass. And we talk about framing, and we tie it into holding gross, because holding gross, a lot of that is actually framing. And again, setting up the customer with the realistic expectations early on in the sales process.
Beautiful stuff, man. So just tell the people, you got into the whole vendor game. What made you want to do that? And then tell us what your expertise is.
I didn't want to do it. Like, let's be honest here. I may have thought at one point I wanted to, but here I am. And I'm like, oh boy, what is going on? My life's not normal anymore.
Exactly.
For me growing up, I always had dreams of being like Tony Robbins and this motivational speaker thing. And, it just kind of happened. So growing up it's a random childhood. My mom and my dad don't really talk to each other. I live with my mom, my stepdad. When I'm 13 years old, so right around 1999, 2000, my mom finds Yahoo chat rooms, right? Now, this is bad for me because by the time I'm 18, the Yahoo chat rooms actually led to 2 divorces and led to her moving down to Texas. And keep in mind, I'm still living in Wisconsin, right? And my stepdad moving up to Canada. So I'm like, what the hell's going on with my life?
Right.
So this is by the time I'm 17 years old. I think my mom kicked my stepdad out of the house like maybe 2 months before my prom, and then took off to Texas the morning of my prom. Wow. Like just pure craziness. Mm-hmm. So I'm 17 years old. This is happening. So right away I had a weird connection to internet and how the internet kind of ties people together, right? Mm-hmm. So 2005, 2006 comes around and stuff, and MySpace pops up, and I go ahead, I create a MySpace account, and I use it for networking for opportunities, right? Because beforehand, I was doing groups and forums, like bodybuilding.com and stuff. Mm-hmm. I was using that for pretty much content marketing, traction marketing, very similar to what I am now. So between using that forum and then the weird connection with the chat rooms with my parents and stuff and everything else, like 2005 comes around, and I get a MySpace account. I start using it for networking opportunities. And let's be honest, I'm 18 years old. I'm super, super strung up on testosterone, right? By networking opportunities, I mean parties, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I sit down, I meet the wife and stuff. I meet the daughter. I meet the daughter, right? But when we get married and we have a daughter, and then I meet the daughter. So then we sit down, we move to Washington, D.C., and that's really where I started my sales career. So we moved to Washington, D.C. It's a brand new place. I don't know anyone. I'm not, a lot of people will see my social media profile, David Huffman on Facebook and stuff, and they think, hey, this dude's a extrovert. And that's not true. I'm an ambivert and introvert, if anything. Like, I'm a learned extrovert. I'm an extrovert because, hey, it makes me money. So we go to D.C., and I don't know a damn person. But, hey, I remember the MySpace thing. I remember my mom found a couple divorces and a few husbands. Like, I could find some customers. Am I right?
Absolutely. This is fire.
Oh yeah. So 2008, I sit down and I start posting online, and I'm selling insurance and gym memberships and shit like this, right? And I start posting online. I got a lot of heat. I got a lot of slack. I got a lot of people didn't like what I was doing. Like, you can't use Facebook, you can't use Craigslist, you can't use the internet for making sales. So fast forward to I was doing some sales things here and there, right? Doing a few different industries, and I always try to leverage the online things. But fast forward to car sales. So 2014, I jumped into car sales and stuff because beforehand I was doing supplements, I was doing retail, I was doing gym memberships. But I want to get over that fear of that high ticket sales item. So 2014, I jump into car sales. And again, I don't know a damn person. Well, shit, who am I supposed to sell a car to? I know. I have Facebook. My wife and I are going through troubled times, so I have this thing called Tinder. And I have Snapchat, and I have a bunch of shit going on, right?
It's crazy.
So in 2014, when I started selling cars, I was using all that to my advantage. And, I was using that to prospect and get people in. So I was posting on Tinder. And with Tinder, I kind of had like the story feature, kind of like Instagram and Facebook. So super awesome. It's free marketing. I had like 4,000 connections there. I'm sitting down and push everything out to 4,000 people. Why not? So, I did that. I did Facebook. I did a bunch of other stuff. And then left car sales 2016. Moved over to Reno. Was kind of doing some business things and some vendor stuff. Not really kind of doing anything too huge. And then a guy named Mark Jennison. Do you remember Mark Jennison and his 30 and 30 program?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so he's a guy that I follow because, well, I like drinking a little too much maybe, and he's big on sobriety. So it's kind of weird how that works out.
Yeah.
But I love the guy to death. So I follow him, and I follow him for a long time. We talked a lot at this point, and I see a post from him saying, hey, man, I need help selling online. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to try this out. It's like I've been pretty much working since 2003, 2004 to make money online. Like, hey, let's try this out. So I went ahead and I talked to him stuff, and I started working out. And that's actually how I got into the vendor thing with the auto sales, is through him and selling the 30 and 30 thing. Now, the cool and the kick-ass part, though, is like way back in 2003, 2004, like I've always had this goal of making money online. So is before it was like, starting internet dating website, and then there's doing internet cam modeling, which we're going to talk about. And then, it's internet poker, but it's always this making money online thing. Because growing up, I had a rough childhood. I moved around a lot, went to over a dozen different schools. So for me, it's always kind of like, hey, I don't know where I'm going to be at, but I know I can have a laptop, internet, and a cell phone. So when I joined Mark, it's super, super cool because I realized like a decade-long goal, right? I'm down in Costa Rica, and Mark's in Wisconsin, and he's sober because it's Mark, right? I'm down in Costa Rica. I'm sitting next to a pool, hooked up to crappy Wi-Fi, drinking a bottle of Jim Beam and making sales. And I was like, oh my gosh, dude, this is cool.
That is cool.
That's how I got into vendor, and that's kind of where I've been at since. And since 2016, I've helped a couple hundred car salespeople. Like it's been an amazing journey, and it's a journey that I won't change for anything else. Like car salesmen and car salespeople, I should say, special place in my heart for you guys.
Awesome, man. And so since our listenership has such a special place in your heart, right, you mind breaking down some key techniques, strategies, secrets, whatever? What do people need to know to begin selling online? You got any tips, tricks, anything like that?
Oh, you're about to love this. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pause for about 5 seconds. Let the viewers get pen and paper.
All right.
All right. Let's do a little 3.
They should have it already.
1. There we go. I like it. So let's start out with the definition of content marketing, because this is the hugest thing ever. Now, if you look at content marketing, attraction marketing, social media marketing, prospecting, regardless, all marketing is all getting people to come to you. It's a numbers game. And that's the bottom line of sales. Like sales, if you're 100% closer, it doesn't matter if you're only getting one person a day to come and see you, because you're only making one sale a day. If you're a 50% closer and you're getting 3 people come and see you every single day, you're making more sales than the 100% closer. So sales numbers game. So when we sit down, we look at content marketing, which is what I specialize in, content marketing, attraction marketing, social media marketing, right? Let's take a look at what Google defines it as. Google defines it as a type of marketing that involves the creation and sharing of online material that does not explicitly promote, but is intended to stimulate interest in its products or services. Now, something very, very important to point out here, right? There's going to be 2 factors. It says it involves the creation and sharing of online material, right? Okay. And then it says that this material does not explicitly promote a brand, but is intended to stimulate interest in its products or services.
Stimulate interest.
Yeah. So when we sit down, we take a look at marketing and we take a look at content marketing and stuff along those lines. There's going to be two types of marketing posts that we look at. You're going to have the explicit versus the implicit. Now, an explicit, think of a classified ad, right? A bunch of classified stuff.
Right.
It's just a bunch of ads. It's short, direct. It's an explicit offer. It's a sales post. It's not disguised as anything else. It's just looking for yes or no answers. Now, that post is perfectly fine. It's great for getting people that are interested now. Now, the issue with a post, an explicit sales post, and you see this and especially in the auto community, let's be honest here. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. In the auto community, you can see this. You sit down, you click over on a guy's page, and it scrolls down, and it just looks like a bunch of classified stuff, and it's god awful. So that limits audience, it limits engagement, and it's going to turn off your market.
Yes.
Now, what happens if people aren't engaging with what we do? And people aren't clicking like, and people aren't commenting and stuff on those lines? Facebook stops showing people our stuff because Facebook's like, hey, this person sucks. No one likes them. Right. And it's
Somebody
true.
wants to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's true. So when we tie that into the content marketing, the explicit marketing posts, they go directly against Google's definition of content marketing, right? Content marketing, again, if we sit down, if we think about this, it is the sharing of online materials, such as videos, blogs, and social media posts that does not explicitly promote a brand, but is intended to stimulate interest. So now we talked about the explicit marketing post. Let's take a look at the implicit marketing post. Implicit is softer and it's more direct. And if you look me up, David Huffman on Facebook, you add me, you'll see this. I'll do the implicit. I'll provide value very much like I am right now. Don't get me wrong. And I point out my web class too a couple of weeks ago. Like I'm very honest with people. Like, hey, this is a marketing thing. This is an implicit marketing tool.
And that's what people need.
Yeah. Like, look, like this is soft. It's more indirect. This is an implicit offer. This isn't direct at all. It's looking to gain interest in my message. And it's looking to bring me potential leads into my pipeline. So I'm sitting here and I'm dropping bombs for a reason. I'm dropping bombs because I know that if you like this, you're going to sit down and you're going to open up Facebook right now and you're going to look up David Huffman. You're going to add me.
As they should.
Yeah. And that is the key with content marketing. And you guys see this approach like firsthand right now. Like I'm explaining to you as I'm doing it. Like, I mean, that's really how easy it is. And when you look at content marketing, that's what your Facebook should be. Your Facebook should be a combination of really 3 different posts. If you think about it, you have your attractive character post, charismatic leader post. So who am I? What am I about? You have your marketing post, which is your offer, stuff along those lines. And then you have your engagement post. That's really the brunt of content marketing.
Beautiful stuff, man. So those are the things that a person absolutely needs to know when it comes to marketing. What's something about your expertise, this content marketing, this whole marketing thing that we don't know that as millionaire car salesmen, we should?
Let me see. What are you really selling on our Facebook post? And this, again, ties back into explicit versus implicit. A lot of people think that, hey, I'm selling a car on my Facebook post. Now, the issue with when you sit down and you think, hey, I'm selling a car on my Facebook post, you can start posting specific vehicles. It's only going to appeal to certain people. It's going to appeal to people, give me a random vehicle, LA, any random vehicle.
Let's go with the Ford F-150.
I was thinking that too. I like it. So let's say John, he goes and he posts a picture of a Ford F-150, explicit sales offer, right? Mm-hmm. And he shares in buy-sell groups, his personal page, business page, the whole 9, right? He shares it all over.
Yep.
So with the Ford F-150, the people that's attracting, it's going to attract the people that want the Ford F-150.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to attract the people that want pickup trucks.
Yeah.
And it's going to attract the people that just want anything. And that's the issue, is the people that just want and can qualify for anything. Those are people that are flocking towards you and wasting your time. Am I right?
Nice.
Yeah. So the issue with selling online is a lot of people think that they sell vehicles online. You don't sell vehicles. If you think about a sales funnel, and if you think about a sales funnel tying in content marketing, tying it into car sales, is a 3-step sales funnel. But what you're really selling is the ideal sales situation. In the car sales community, that's going to be a face-to-face appointment.
Yes.
Now, prime example, I actually have my, I wasn't planning on diving into this early. I'm going to tease you a little bit, but I actually have this really kick-ass car sales example. It's the script. It's only 4 messages, but it takes you from a simple post to an appointment. Do you
give them the money?
Your audience,
give them the money, Dave. Give them the money.
All right, cool beans. So hey, look, this is and again with the sales funnel, organic sales funnels, you want to think of it in 3 steps. So you have the interest, you have the conversation, and you have the ideal sales situation. So let's work with the interest. With the interest that's going to be a post. So if we're taking a look at implicit sales posts, right? With the interest in the post, we are going to sit down and we are going to ask them a super simple question, a question that makes them think about their vehicles and a question that gets them engaging. So let's do what would you change about? What's a feature that you have to have on your next? So what would you change about your current vehicle? What's the feature that you have to have on your next vehicle? That's going to get someone engaged and that's going to get someone commenting. And I've sat down, I've taught this method to a lot of my students and I see it firsthand. It gets them a lot of leads. So if I sit down, if I say, hey, what would you change about your current vehicle? And if Karen comments, oh, man, these winters are kind of hard up here in the mountain stuff over in northern Nevada. If I had all-wheel drive, my life would be different, right? That tells us something. It means that she stopped her scrolling, that vertical scrolling, right? And she stopped to comment, which means that she has interest in what we're doing. And, she is that behavior-based follow-up, So she comments on that. So when she comments on that, I have a very, very simple strategy. And just remember ICE. You have introduction, you have context, and you have expansion, right?
ICE. Write that down, people.
ICE. So that's a messenger formula, right? And what do I mean by introduction? I mean, Karen. What do I mean by context? I mean, I wanted to reach out to you because I made a post about what you would change about your current vehicle, and you said you would get all-wheel drive next. Now, do you see what I did there with the context?
Beautiful.
Yeah, man. I just sat down. I just repeated exactly why I'm going into their inbox. So many students I have, they're like, hey, man, what if someone gets mad at me? I promise you.
I just told you why I did it.
Yep. And then with the expansion, the very last part of ICE, the expansion is what do you drive? So that very first message is, Karen, I want to reach out to you because I made a post about what you would change about your current vehicle. And you said you would get all-wheel drive next. What do you drive?
You get to get her talking.
Yeah. And guess what? It doesn't matter what she drives because we know that she doesn't want it. We know that she's not happy. We know that she wants all-wheel drive. So that doesn't matter. Let's be honest here. So we move into the second message. The very second message, we are agreeing and we are closing and we are providing some social proof, right? So this is some advanced copywriting, some advanced sales techniques. But the very second message is, that is awesome and a really popular vehicle. How long have you had it for?
That's awesome.
So again, we don't care how long she's had it for, right? Yeah, like we honestly don't care. Like the point is, like, hey, she knows that she wants all-wheel drive. She knows she's not happy with her vehicle. If she knows that there's issues with the vehicle, she's had it too long already. Am I right?
100%.
So the very third message, we hit them with, wow, that's a while. Sounds like you might be ready to look at upgrading. Am I right? Simple tie-on question. And then the very, very last question, and this is crucial the way it's asked. I'm pointing out after I tell you. So the very fourth question to get people from that engagement post into that appointment, into coming in, so you actually have that sales opportunity. So from marketing to sales opportunity, right? This is a killer closing question. Would it make sense for you to come into the dealership and we can do a quick appraisal on your current vehicle and see if we can get you into a newer all-wheel drive vehicle that you want for the same payment or less every single month?
The daggum trade hook.
Yeah, I mean, who the hell would say no? And it's really so it's the same verbiage, really, as the service department. The service department is the same verbiage. Hey, man, like, look, I understand that you don't want to drop $1,500 on a vehicle. Let me ask you if I could call up the service manager right now, get him to stop work. We could talk to you, maybe get you in a newer vehicle for even less every single month. Would it make sense? Who the hell is going to tell you no?
That's beautiful.
But the main thing is, would it make sense? So would it make sense? And then just hash out the benefits. So many people try to sell the features. No, hash out the benefits.
Benefits. Yeah. 100%, man. And see, that's the kind of talk that, even for me, I teach the same stuff. Basically, you got to move people from just the text and things like that and get them on the phone and then get them from the phone to actually seeing them in person, right? We talk about that escalation and how it's so important. And what you just talked about is exactly that. So, man, there's so many questions just like going through my mind, but I want to kind of stay on this.
Pyramid persuasion?
Oh, absolutely. Talk about that.
Dude, pyramid persuasion is super powerful. So I learned about it in real estate, and it's one of the lessons I took from real estate that stuck with me. It was just amazing. With pyramid persuasion, it's the higher you get up in the pyramid, the more influence that you're going to have, the more natural tendency towards influence that you're going to have. And when we think about pyramid persuasion, we sit down, we think about the different forms of communication. We have email, we have stuff along those lines, snail mail, stuff like that. That's super, super bottom rung. And then we have face-to-face communication, ideal sales situation. That's the very top rung. We have everything in between.
Yeah.
I mean, that's super, super quick. Just laying it down, like not my expertise, but I understand it.
Yeah, 100%, man. And it's beautiful stuff because, again, it follows the science of communication. And so that's, communication.
When you tie that into, too, with the behavior-based aspects.
Oh, man.
Like people sit down, they don't realize how the content marketing ties into the pyramid persuasion. And when you sit down and people are scrolling down and they see the engagement posts and they stop, like they just took you from being in the sea far away from this pyramid, right, to being on the bottom part of that pyramid. So now it's your job to bring them up.
Exactly. You got to do it. And man, you talk about persuasion, and I love, just the one sentence persuasion technique. I totally am like a super duper fan of it. And I see it working all the time. I watch commercials and I just pay attention to nerdy stuff like that, man. But that persuasion talks about, man, people will do anything for those who encourage their dreams, right? Alleviate their fears, right? Justify their failures. Yeah. You know it. You know what I'm saying? It's like all of these different things that you got to do, confirm their suspicions and also helping them throw rocks at their enemies. Those are the things, man, that people want. I got so many examples on top of examples that really just speak to that. So that's excellent stuff. All right. So talk about this, because I hear you, it's always great when, the marketer is like, oh yeah, just do this. It's so simple, right? It works every time. Can you talk about a situation where, something didn't quite go right for you and you were like, oh shoot, what in the world happened? So talk a little bit about your maybe a hiccup in your strategies.
A hiccup in my strategies. Boy, man, that's an everyday thing. It's called copywriting. Am I right?
Wow. Awesome.
So that's what happens when instead of, making sales face to face with high engagement and high chances of creating action, you start trying to sell from behind a computer screen with your text. It's a lot of copywriting. And even for myself, I have issues with copywriting, and I consider myself definitely a coach and consultant, but I lean more and more towards copywriting right now. It's funny because the two things that I actually dream about every single night are golf and copywriting. It's just the weirdest shit ever.
Let's be honest here. They go together.
Yeah. So even for myself, I have issues with copywriting. So when I sit down, I grab a student. I have a car guy who's not familiar. And even back when I was in car sales and sales, like I was a word track guy. I was just a script guy. That was my expertise. Like that's what I used to love was words and how words create sales. So when I get tied up, when I have a student, I know that they get tied up. So, a lot of the information I've been sharing with you guys is actually come from my automotive boot camp and my content marketing boot camp. And in there, I actually have some headline post formulas. And very similar to what you're saying is it's a lot of understanding what the customer wants and what the customer doesn't want, what they fear. And once you understand that, it creates a lot more potential and it makes everything a lot easier for what you're doing. For example, with the headline post formulas, and these goes to the engagement post and with the sales funnel that I just mentioned earlier, right? You have the want without fear. So again, want to see if you qualify because, okay, all of your customers want to see if they qualify for a new car, right? Well, what are they scared of? They're scared of spending hours at the dealership. Am I right?
Yeah, you know it.
So want to see if you qualify for a new car without spending hours at the dealership. Every single person that comes on there that likes that, right? Boom. They love it. And tying that into everything, I bring that up with the headline post formula and with the want to without. with the headline post formula, though, people get tied up with the copyright in there, and then people also get tied up too with when they sit down and they go into the messenger. And this was issues that I had years ago, and that's actually why I had to come up with the headline post formulas as well as the ICE message formula and the message formula that I just shared with your audience not too long ago. Mm-hmm. So that's something that's always kind of tied me up, and something that's tied other people up is just kind of learning how to sell with words and effectively sell with words, really.
It's so interesting that you say that because, again, coming from phone sales, that's obviously what you have to use, not only your words, but your tone and inflection. And I want you to talk a little bit about because you talked about being an introvert, and you got people always tell me, LA, that's just not me. I'm like, well, you better make it, like you said, in order to make money.
When I was younger, I had so when I was younger, let's sit down and kind of understand the way I'm wired. Mm-hmm. I grew up playing sports and I grew up bodybuilding. I grew up not giving a shit if I was injured. I grew up, look, I have a goal to do X, Y, Z. I have to show up and I have to train. I don't care if I have mono. I don't care if I have pancreatitis. I have to do it.
Right. People need to learn that. That's a lesson in and of itself. Yeah. Everybody's worrying about their feelings. Like you can't worry about what you want to do. You got to worry about what you need to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then we take it a step further, right? And a couple of years later and stuff, and I kind of fall out of the gym scene and get tied up with family and life. And guess what? I get hooked on drugs. Again, I didn't give a shit if I stick a needle in my arm. I didn't give a shit who I hurt, right? Do you know what I cared about? I cared about getting high.
Exactly.
I cared about the end result. So even now, right? Okay, I don't do any of that foolish stuff. I don't do any of that crap. And I work out, I bust my ass, and I work nonstop. But again, everything that I do is geared towards the end results. I want to be healthier, so I make sure I do XYZ cardio every single day. Every single Sunday I have my reflection time, and I sit down, and I plan out my week.
That's Dr. Covey's teaching.
If I want to be healthier, I know that I have to do cardio. It doesn't matter if I like it or not. It doesn't fucking matter. Like my opinion doesn't matter. And that's kind of what people, they forget, right? Like me, I'm an introvert. Like me doing this podcasting, I was nervous until we hopped on and you introduced me, and I was like, well, the first time you introduced me, right? then
I might use it. I might decide to use it.
Right? And then the second time, I was still nervous. It's uncomfortable. Me doing Facebook Lives, me doing lives, me putting myself out there, me having Sales Talk Uncensored, .com and the university and all that fun stuff. It's uncomfortable. And me, I've always cared about results. That's what I've always cared about. Like I've never really cared about my comfort thing. And it's funny we're bringing this up because I actually am in my own group on Facebook. I made a video about this. And I mentioned, guess what? Your wife doesn't give a shit if you're comfortable. Your bank with your mortgage doesn't give a shit if you're comfortable. This clerk that's about to take your debit card for your groceries, she doesn't give a shit if you're comfortable. The bank with your car note, they don't give a shit if you're comfortable. The only person that gives a shit if you're comfortable is you.
That's it.
Everyone else cares about results.
Yep.
Am I right?
You know it.
So why wouldn't you care about results, man? Like... Once people understand all that matters is results and the end goal, it doesn't matter what you got to do. Boom. Like treat yourself like an athlete. Treat yourself like a drug addict. Treat yourself like whatever. Just focus on that damn end result. Like stop caring about yourself and just care about the end result.
That is beautiful. That's exactly what we need to hear. And if they do that, man, I'm telling you, there is rewards on the other side of it. That's what, I think folks don't really get. It's like, man, everything that you want, all the desires, everything that you're looking for is on the other side of that discipline of doing exactly what you should do.
Discomfort. I don't want to do it. So here's something, right? Instead of saying I don't want to do it, instead of saying I have to do it, right? Let's sit down. Let's be grateful for a second. Let's sit down. Let's be, hey, man, like, look, dude, I'm so grateful I get to do this. I'm so grateful I have the opportunity to. Because here's the thing. You might hate your job. You might hate going and clocking on the dealership 260 hours every single month, right? 10, 15, 20, 25 cars a month, right? But guess what? There's a person that wants that job.
Yes.
Be grateful that you have the opportunity to.
Absolutely.
It reminds me of this meme. It's a very touching meme. I might actually tear up here. Like my heart might thaw out here as I explain it, right? But so it's a touching meme, but it shows a picture of like a bunch of different people, like a dude's on a bicycle, a dude's like walking, a dude's riding a car, right? And like each person gets worse and worse, and the other person's like, oh man, I wish I had XYZ. I wish I had better. Then it gets to the dude that, and so it goes from like the car to the bus to the guy in the bus to the guy on the bicycle and the guy on the bicycle to the guy that has to walk everywhere. And then it cut to a guy in a wheelchair. And the guy in the wheelchair is like, man, I wish I had legs. I wish I had the opportunity to walk. Like, man, dude, that's so powerful if you think about it,
Absolutely, man. 100%, man. It's just so many different, framing ways to look at this. But, man, listen, Danny Zalowski, my man, he said you got to go from got to get. And so that really stuck with me when he said that.
I like that.
And so I don't got to do it. I get to do it.
I
so
know.
That's beautiful stuff.
The opportunity, man.
100%. You know it.
Make it happen. So when I sat down, I interviewed Ken Shamrock for my podcast for Sales Talk Uncensored.
Mm-hmm.
Him and I, we can relate because we didn't have the best upbringing, and we we're both wired with violent tendencies. Let's say, UFC Hall of Famer, WWE future Hall of Famer, but. Something that's super, super awesome with him is he pointed out how everything in his life is just competition with himself.
Yes.
And this is something that's huge for me, something I've noticed too. Like, okay, sure, I enjoy my drinks. I enjoy myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the times in my life where I'm not focusing on my goals, I'm not focusing on improving myself, focusing on being the best that I can be, that's when I find that I self-medicate the best. Or self-medicate the most. I also self-medicate the best too. But
right. Doing it the most though.
Yeah. But so when I sit down and I'm thankful for everything. I'm grateful for everything, and I'm focusing on just being the number one me, right? Which was something that Ken Shamrock, he sat down and just talked about so much. I'm just feel so much happier. I just feel so much fulfilled. It's funny because Ryan Steelman quite a few years ago, like way back in 2014, he had a Facebook Live. And he mentioned, hey, it's super, super funny. Like when I sat down, I had the goal to wake up at 5 a.m. every single morning just because it's super, super productive, or 4 a.m. every single morning.
Mm-hmm.
My drinking at night stopped, and me going to bed at 11 p.m. stopped, and 12 a.m. stopped, right? So when he sat down and started focusing on the good, it actually changed all the bad in his life.
Wow.
That's huge. And, that's a guy now, you sit down and you look at him now, and he's grateful for everything. Like it's all about the G code.
Yep, 100%, man. People be like, "Oh, I wish I had this. I wish I had that." This is not one of the things that I say, but I mean, people look at me and go, "Man, he wishes he had sight." You see what I'm saying? It's like, and there has been times in my past that I felt like, 4/5 of a human because I only got 4 to 5 senses. That's happened to me, and so we got to just.
So you actually just, so before the first intro and before we were recording stuff, you mentioned, hey, man, like I went to Aladdin and I caught Aladdin with the wife, and I'm sitting there thinking, and I have a deaf aunt, and I don't think I have one blind in my family, but I'm sitting there thinking like, oh wow, man, like how was that? How was that experience?
Yeah, man. So here's the thing, and people say stuff like, so I was at a youth church breakfast or something like that, and somebody was like, long time no. And they were like, well, you know the rest. And I'm like, well, you can say it because you didn't see me in a long time, right? So, people have questions like that. My whole thing is that, first of all, we went to go see the movie in IMAX, right? Which is some of the best audio experiences you're going to get. And so that's a lot of fun.
Your senses, your other senses are super heightened. I know that.
Yeah. And here's how I frame it. I let people know that I wouldn't even say it's so much that it's heightened. It's just that because I'm not distracted by my sight, I get to focus on all those other senses that much more. Like a new mom, she'll have just as good a hearing as I do because she's tuned in. She has to listen a lot closer to her baby than, somebody that's not so much important to them. And so it's all about the brain. That's the way I look at it. It's all about the brain.
Yeah.
So cool stuff, man. All right. So talk about it. What do you have coming up that you're most excited about?
Yeah, so I have, of course, salestalkuncensored.com, and you go over there and stuff. You look at the blog, like I got some awesome free sales advice there. Sales Talk Uncensored on YouTube, and then if you look at salestalkuncensored.com, you click on the University tab. We have all of those products, and that's totally cool. Like that's a year in the making. Like super excited about it. But what I'm super excited about is all the content I've actually took you guys throughout this entire call. With content marketing. Actually comes with my super awesome content marketing and social media bootcamp. So that's coming up very, very soon, launching very soon. So I'm actually doing some trial runs and just getting stupid amazing feedback. Like people are like, oh my God, this shit's so easy. Like I have I have Mark Jennison and Travis Godfrey. Both of them have been recognized like walking around in public, right? Travis actually has hashtag Ask for Travis trending the first page of Google. If you look up hashtag Ask for Travis, all of his stuff pops up, which is amazing. Like he sold a post from way back in March from a post that he made. So super cool. So I'm getting amazing feedback with a lot of content that I'm producing and stuff. And with the super awesome content marketing social media bootcamp, it's gonna set everything to the next level. Because very much like we kind of talked about earlier, it's not like giving you copy and paste stuff, right? But it's telling you exactly what to do and how to do it. You know, if you remember how my perfect scripts were, do you remember those?
Yeah, I used them.
Yeah, I mean, you did, and you killed in some videos too. So with the automotive bootcamp, right? It's very, very similar. It actually gives you that fill in the blank and actually shows you how to think like a content marketer and how to think like a marketer, as opposed to thinking like a salesperson that's just going to make a post and maybe get some leads. No, we are making you think like content marketer that's going to get some leads.
Awesome. Well, I know I'll definitely be a part of it. All right. So let's kind of go through some just quick questions that you can just fire off some answers and see what comes out of them. So what was holding you back from becoming the you of today?
Fear.
Wow.
Fear. Like that's it. I was brought up. I have ninth grade education. I went to over a dozen schools in those 9 years. I kind of touched on my mom and the childhood issues and just the weird shit, and it's just fear and insecurities.
Wow, man. What's some of the best advice you've ever received?
I can't say for sure who says this, but I want to say I always quote it to John C. Maxwell because that's the very first person that I've seen. And the reason I think it's so powerful is because you think John C. Maxwell, you think about leadership. And when you think about leadership, think about a guy that's trying to make everyone happy because he's making an organization happy. But he says, I can't tell you secret to success, but I can tell you secret to failure is trying to make everyone happy. And that was just mind blowing to me because me growing up and stuff and always kind of feeling like, hey, I can never do good enough. I always had that issue of trying to make everyone happy. When I realized I can't make everyone happy and I have to commit to it and let go of the outcome and just do the work, it was a game changer.
Yeah. That's beautiful stuff. We just talked about that on the previous podcast. It's crazy. All right. So share like your favorite internet resource or app, something that you use to help you succeed.
Sparks Post.
Sparks Post. Okay. People don't know about that. I know I don't.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me more.
Oh, yeah. So Sparks Post is Adobe Sparks Post, and it's $10 a month, but they also got the free version too. But it's Adobe, so it's the same people that do the Photoshop and Light Studio and shit like that, right? But it makes it super easy for putting together memes and motivational pictures and putting together marketing content. So if you take a look at any of my groups, my Car Sales Secrets group, my Rockstar Realtors group, my No Days Off group, Sales Talk Uncensored, like all my groups, as well as like all my posts with custom images on my business pages, my personal page and stuff, as well as some clients too. I actually use the software to help out some clients too. All that came from there, and it makes putting together images and graphic design super easy. Like I'm not a tech guy. That's always my biggest issue with the online thing and the tech thing, despite having goal for over a decade of doing it, was because I'm not a tech guy. So that just kind of took out the tech part and the graphic design part of being a graphic designer. So Adobe Spark Post is fantastic.
Make sure we post a link to it in the show notes. Recommend one book and why.
Oh boy. Oh, just one book?
You had to limit it to one.
Oh man. Well, who am I recommending it for?
And here's the thing, it was crazy because you already mentioned .com secrets and expert secrets, which I am a super duper fan of, man. But
I can't do one book. So I'm gonna do two books though.
Okay. All right.
Robert Cialdini and Influence. Because once you understand what really motivates people and triggers people and gets them lacking, right? Everything in your life's going to change. Like everything in your life's going to make so much more sense. Once you understand what truly motivates people, it just, boom, it's awesome. And then the other thing, the other book, and I I can't say that, for the longest time, I was like, hey, man, I just don't like this guy, right? Mm-hmm. I can't say that anymore. I like the guy. I realized there's some parts of his marketing I don't inherently agree with, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But this one book is a book that every single person needs, and that is The Closer's Survival Guide from Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
128 different closes in there. Like, you sit down, and he even points out in the book, like, why the close is the most important aspect of the sale. And the issue with closing is, the average sale is 5 no's to close, and the average salesperson knows 3 closes. Mm-hmm. Like, you had 128 closes. If you sat down, if you rehearse them, and if you learn them, it's going to change everything. So I think those 2 books are the 2 books I'd recommend to everybody.
Absolutely. All right, cool, man. So let's give the millionaire car salesman a parting piece of guidance and tell them how they can connect with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So look me up, David Huffman on Facebook. I got a personal page as well as business page out of Reno, Nevada. So I am moving to Virginia here coming up. If you're in Virginia or the East Coast, shoot me a message. I would love to connect. And then, of course, the salestalkuncensored.com, Sales Talk Uncensored business page. And the very last part, if you are in car sales, right? Car sales professionals, check out Car Sales Secrets on Facebook. That's Car Sales Secrets. So automotive group, we post free advice, free tips, a bunch of stuff. But our goal is to get you moving 30, 35, 40 plus every single month.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, cool. And what's a parting piece of guidance? They've been listening to all of this. If we were to wrap it up, what would you tell the Millionaire Car Salesman Group? Talk about what they should do from a financial standpoint. Because I know, listen, we've all made some crazy, silly mistakes financially. And then we've made some smart decisions. So what can we tell them to do financially? I know we're not financial advisors, but
Oh, yeah, not at all. So, financial wise, like just invest in yourself. Mm-hmm. This also ties into the piece of advice I want to give. Way back in the day when I bought my very first sales book and my very first sales CDs before Audible and stuff like that, I actually had to listen to my 2010 Corolla as I'm driving 45 minutes back and forth to commute, right? It was Tom Hopkins' How to Master the Art of Selling. It's a fantastic book. But I talked to my sales reps at the time, and they're like, hey, why would he sit down and buy a sales book? You work in sales. Like, why would he do that? And here's the thing. I invested $70 in that book. And How to Master the Art of Sales from Tom Hopkins, I used the trial closes. I used the summary closes. I used tie-down questions. I used so much stuff that I learned a decade ago from that. So invest in yourself, right? And then as far as the piece of advice, and this ties into it, is be extremely accountable to yourself and your business. Like, if you're not making sales, there's only one person to blame, and that is your fault. That's you. And it doesn't matter. Like, you can say, well, it's not my fault, right? It doesn't matter if it's your fault or not, because it's still your responsibility to change it, which means that it's still, guess what? Your fault.
It's on you.
Like, you're still the reason. Yeah. Like, you just got to be extremely accountable to your business. Invest in yourself. And that's money in the training as well as time in the training too. And be extremely accountable to your business. Understand that all your results are because of you.
Absolutely, man. It's not my fault. It's such a victim mentality. And you can't listen to my podcast and pretend to be a victim. I won't even allow it. So
that 2019 stuff.
This is beautiful stuff, man.
Baby.
Exactly, right, man. So this has been absolutely phenomenal. I always say you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Well, you've just been spending time with Mr. L.A. Williams and Mr. David Huffman, man, dropping them super duper golden nuggets, and he was killing it. So from the information you got today, man, you got to go out and be a millionaire car salesman. Thanks so much, everybody, for listening. Thanks, David.
Thanks, Elliot.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you like it, you love it, you want more of it, then don't wait for the next money show. Just go to bradleyondemand.com and take your career to the next level.